All right. So thanks for coming back on for the Halloween special kind of thing.
Thank you for having me.
I know we talked a lot about kind of different true crime stuff the last time you were here. Well, we focused on the beachy skull
Yep.
or in Robert Courthouse. So yeah, I
Yeah.
guess do you want to let us know what you're here to talk about today? Even though I know, but let our
You
listeners
know.
know what you're here to talk
Well,
about
time
today.
for the big reveal.
Yeah.
So today I'm going to be telling you about the Bungalow axe murder of Saskatoon in 1925 that happened on Christmas night.
Ooh, even Christmas
hmm
night. Yikes.
Extra spooky.
Awesome. So yeah, where do you want to get started, I guess, talking about it?
Well, it starts with a phone call. It was about 10, between 10:20 and 10:40 p.m., according to the woman who was operating the telephone line. So there was a Saskatoon telephone operator named Claire Emer, and she thinks it was about 10:20, 10:40 p.m. on Christmas Day in 1925, and she gets a call on the long distance line. And she hears a voice asking her to send the police to 545 4th Avenue North in Saskatoon. And when she tries to give them the number for the police, the voice on the call just says, "I'm bound. Something terrible has happened. Please send the police." So she does what she's asked. And she kept returning to long distance line after she made the call to kept trying to like clear the line. And
Right.
um, the caller never hung up. And she could hear the voice just saying, "Oh dear," repeatedly whenever she went on the line. Yeah. So Constable Flavel from the Saskatoon Police, he reported that he got the call to go to the Fourth Avenue home at about 10:30. And these are all estimates by everyone. So the timeline is sketchy. We're not totally sure, but he thinks it was 10:30. He got the call. He walked to the house and he arrived, he thinks, at about 10:40 p.m. He stated that there were no lights on that he could see at the front of the house, but he could see a light on in the back. So he went around the house. He tried to peer in the window on his way around, didn't see anything, and opened the door to the back, like veranda, porch. You know, like how they have the
Oh,
sunroom
okay.
sometimes in the back of the house.
Yep.
So that door was open. So he walked through there and then knocked on the back door, and he heard a voice asking him to come in, and that door was unlocked too. And so he walked in and it led straight into the kitchen where he found a woman standing with her hands behind her back, sobbing, hysterical, dressed only in a nightgown, and her hands were tied in a reef knot with a strip of material from like a towel or linen behind her back. And
Oh.
so, yeah, she's just completely hysterical. So he gets her hands untied and asks her what happened. And all she could say was that she thought she saw some kind of flash or there was a thud and then nothing. Later, he said she told him something about a man with a flashlight, but that was like well over a month later, and that was the first time he'd ever reported it. So, memory,
Yeah,
I don't,
hard to say.
maybe.
Yeah.
So he went into the bedroom at the front of the house, and that's where he found her husband. So her husband,
Oh.
James Eli Johnson, was lying on his back in bed. His face was covered in blood and just lying there with his hands on his stomach, face covered in blood in bed. So he went back out, asked Laura which doctor she wanted him to call.
Yeah.
And she said Dr. Monroe. That was someone that James Johnson and Dr. Monroe had served in the war together. They were close friends, and he'd always told her if there's an accident, that's who he wanted working on him. So he's like, no problem. So he calls the police station. He asks them to send more officers. He asks them to send the chief, and he asks them to call Dr. Monroe and send him over. So they're sitting there waiting. He returns to Mrs. Johnson. She's sitting in the bathroom, and he shows him that she's also tied at the ankles with the same reef knots with the piece of material. So he gets those untied, and he asked her again what happened, and she repeated the same story, that flash of light, saying she came to in the living room. She said she only remembered she couldn't like she wasn't sure if she was on the Chesterfield or on the floor or maybe sliding off onto the floor. All she knew that she kind of came to being on her knees and struggling to get up. So
Oh.
Yeah, so it wasn't like she came to and figured out where she was. Like the first thing she remembers was kind of being on her knees, not sure if she was on the couch or on the floor and just trying to get up.
Yeah.
Um, she managed to shimmy her way to the bathroom where she turned on the light switch with her head. And then she made her way to the kitchen and got the phone off the hook with her teeth. And then she went back to the bathroom and managed to get a toothbrush, clenched it between her teeth, went back to the kitchen, and after quite a few tries, managed to dial 0 for long distance. Like it was one of those old rotary stuff. So she used the
Oh.
toothbrush
Oh my
to try
goodness,
and get
that
it
would
to
be
dial 0
hard.
for the operator. Yeah, so it took her a few tries, but she got it to dial 0, which is why she couldn't hang up the phone. She'd managed to get it off the
Oh.
receiver, but she couldn't hang it back up. And so she talked into the receiver and asked the operator to call the police. And that's where her story ends when the police officer arrived. So the next police officer was Sergeant Samuel Quinn. He arrived next. He knocked at the front door, which was locked, and Constable Flavel let him in. At this point, most lights were on, including the one in the bedroom. And after he saw Mr. Johnson, he also called the police station to be like, is Dr. Monroe on his way? Like, we need the doctor now. And not long after that, the chief and Dr. Monroe arrived. So they never really, in any of the newspapers, stated about what time this was.
So hard to
So
say.
that's where things kind of get a little more gray as well. So Dr. Monroe, he goes into their bedroom. It's a small bedroom. The bed is pushed up tight to the right side of the wall, and James is lying on the outside half of the bed.
Okay.
So she would have been on the side closest to the wall, and he was on the outside half of the bed. He's lying on his back. The blankets were pulled up to his armpits. His hands were resting on his stomach, and he had 8 wounds on his head.
Ooh.
There were 5 major, 3 minor. So the big ones are actually on the left frontal portions of his head, which if he was lying on the outside, it doesn't make a ton of sense that they'd be on the left side of his
Yeah.
head, unless maybe his head was turned. I was
Turned
trying to like visualize in my head today. I was like, he might have had his head turned to the right, and that would have
originally.
given them the option. But the there were 2 really large wounds on the left side of his foreheads. They're about parallel to each other. They're about 3/4 of an inch apart, and they stretched from his eyebrow up to the vertex of his head, which is like the crown of your head. So they went like
Oh
all the way up
wow.
his head, forehead. Yeah, and one was about 4 inches in length, and the other was about 3.5. And they were both so deep they were literally oozing brain matter.
Ooh.
Yeah, they were they were deep. They were like an inch, inch and a half deep into his head. Most of the blood was on his forehead and like high up on his cheeks, and it was really black and congealed and thick, and his features were swollen. There was a cut from like the left lobe of his nose down to his lip. It didn't even pierce the gum underneath, but like cut from his nose to his lip. And then there was a big, what's the word I'm looking for? There was a fracture to the right side of his head, like a V-shaped laceration on the right side of his head that caused a depressed fracture of approximately 1.5 by 1.5 inches. Um, the pillows were saturated with blood. There's blood on the sheets. The blood splashed right up on the south and west walls. It was on the dressing table, 2 feet from the bed. There was a small puddle on the floor next to the bed. Like
Oh
there
my
was
goodness. A lot of blood.
yeah, it was a lot of blood. So Dr. Monroe estimated that these blows occurred about a half hour to an hour and 15 minutes from when he arrived, which doesn't make a lot of sense mathematically.
Yeah.
If the call came in between 10:20 to 10:40 and Flavel thinks he got the call at 10:30, arrived at 10:40, and then had to call everyone, like I'm assuming it would have taken him 20 to 30 minutes to get there. So
Well,
already
yeah.
30 minutes doesn't make sense because Constable Flavel is already there.
Yeah.
So, but we'll take it at face value and say, like, these are fresh. These are
Yeah.
very fresh wounds. Probably within we'll say like an hour and a half to 2 hours would be maybe a little bit more accurate. We'll
Yeah.
see. So the police immediately did a search of the house, and they found an axe with what appeared to be a blood smear on the blade in the coal bin in the basement. They also found the family dog shut up in the den where the Johnsons had put him to bed for the night. He'd
Oh,
never barked. He never barked when Constable Flavel arrived, when the sergeant arrived. Um,
that's
and
surprising.
yeah, and Laura Johnson said she didn't recall any noise from him all evening, not before they went to bed, not after they went to bed. And according to her, sometimes he was an excellent guard dog and he barked at anyone that was coming by the house, and sometimes he didn't bark at all, didn't pay any attention. So, unreliable narrator in the
Well,
dog,
yeah,
apparently.
no
Apparently.
doubt.
The rest of the house was really orderly and clean, except for a few small changes. So, like in the main bedroom where the Johnson had been sleeping and the murder took place, there was a linen closet. And on top of that, the Johnsons both of them had tossed their clothes up on top of the linen closet before they went to bed.
Okay.
And Mr. Johnson's pants had the pockets turned out.
Oh,
Yeah, so there was any money that might have been in his pockets was gone,
was gone.
as
Yeah.
well as his railway mail service keys. So
Oh,
he was a railway mail clerk, and his keys were never located. They never found them. They looked all over the house. They looked at his job. Keys were never found, and pockets in his pants turned out. A very important
interesting.
clue, I think. Very intriguing. I am obsessed with the mail service keys because they were never found. And you'd think they would have been
Yeah.
in the house or they would have been at his job. One of the two. Never
Yeah.
found, despite
Interesting.
extensive searching. Yes, the plot thickens.
Yeah. Got a bit of a mystery
Nothing,
now.
yeah, and nothing else was missing. Not even they had a bag of jewelry and some cash that Mrs. Johnson, Laura Johnson, had stashed under the mattress in the second bedroom. That was still there. No one had taken it. But a drawer in that second bedroom was pulled out with some linens piled neatly on the floor beside it. Was that where they got the material to tie her up? I don't know.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
it a red herring that she did to make it look? I
Like
don't know.
somebody was looking for something.
Yeah, right? But like linens piled just really neatly next to the drawer on the floor.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the only other thing was two cushions had been knocked off the Chesterfield in the living room, which kind of aligns with her story of
Of
waking
her
up to
being
her
there.
falling off the couch. Yeah. So the police obviously questioned Laura several more times that night, but she couldn't give them much information. She was still at times pretty hysterical, and she couldn't remember seeing anybody. The doctor also examined her as well once they sent um, James off to the hospital. And she said she had a lot of pain and soreness in her back, as well
Oh,
as on the right side of her head. So he didn't find anything on her head, but her back it was red and there was some tenderness under when he touched it, it was really tender and there was some redness. The next day he examined her again, and this now there was bruising and discoloration on her back, and he found some swelling on the right side of her head. There was some swelling the following day, just above her right ear.
okay.
Yeah. So the chief of police also examined her that night. They checked in her all through her hair and on her nightdress for any blood. They found nothing. It was spotless. Not even
Oh,
like nothing in her hair. Like they went all through it, nothing. The only blood they found, there were some tiny specks of blood found on the bandages she was tied up with.
oh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Also, interesting clue, right?
Well, yeah.
Was that someone got those bandages after they murdered her husband? Or
Yeah.
they just spots of blood on the linens because they've been used for something before? Is it from
Interesting.
her? Is it from someone else? We don't know, but there were tiny specks of blood, but no blood on her otherwise. Not a single
Yeah,
speck
that's
anywhere.
strange, hey?
None in, yeah, I was thinking like if anywhere it'd be in her hair,
Yeah, well,
right?
yeah.
But no, nothing. Not a drop.
And even if she had somehow gotten dragged out before,
Hmm.
why would it be on the linens and no, that's weird. That's weird.
Unless they tied her up after they knocked her.
Yeah,
It's like, well, she might wake up. I don't know.
yeah.
It's very intriguing. I wish I had answers for you. I don't. Tiny specks of blood. Like I said, this case, it can go either way. I'm trying to like just lay out the facts without
Yeah.
giving my opinion. But of course, like I do lean a certain way, so I'm trying to be very unbiased in my description of the
Yeah.
facts. I'm trying very hard not to be biased, but these are the facts as I've read them.
Yep.
So, of course, as I said, James Johnson immediately taken to City Hospital in Saskatoon, where they performed some surgery on him. He was also tested for narcotics. They found nothing.
Oh, okay.
That will be important later as we discuss this. But no narcotics.
Okay.
Um, None showed up in his system. Laura was not allowed to visit him that night because they were doing the surgery. It was very sensitive. But literally the following day, she was allowed to visit him, and she didn't leave his side until he died on Sunday, January 3rd, 1926, at 2:15 p.m. He passed away. He never woke up, never regained consciousness, and he died from cerebral meningitis that he got from the axe wounds in his head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Yikes.
don't think there would have been much hope for recovery either way. He had
Didn't sound it. Yeah.
eight wounds in his face and head. Like it was a lot. It was a lot,
Especially in the 20s. Like,
right? With their surgical prowess.
yeah.
I mean, God bless them. They gave it their best
They
shot.
tried. Yeah,
They
they at
tried.
least tried.
And he didn't make it to January 3rd. But never woke up, so they were never able to interview him or get any information from him at all. So, according to Laura Johnson, our only living witness,
Yep.
her husband had arrived home on Christmas morning between 8 and 9 a.m. after working an overnight run with the railway. Sorry. I'm getting excited, so I'm slurring all my words together.
Yep. Get into the good
But
parts.
yeah, I'm like, okay, let's get into it. Okay. But after working an overnight run, he got home between 8 and 9 a.m. She herself had only arrived home at about 7:30 that morning. She'd spent the night at her friend's house, Mrs. Sherville. She had a 16-year-old son from her first marriage. Her first husband had died in the war. But he was away. He's celebrating with a friend on a farm in Kinniston, so he's out of the picture. He's not considered a suspect. He was fully gone. They apparently spent just like a quiet Christmas day together. At one point, she went to her sister's for a short visit. She said lasted no longer than an hour. She was pretty sure that was by her estimate. There's no way it was more than an hour that she was gone. She didn't think either of them had left the house other than that visit to her sister when she went. And she told the coroner at the inquest that her husband had mostly relaxed. He was reading, playing the piano in the Victrola. They had received no visitors, and they had planned to go to a show at the Capitol Theater, but there was a mix-up with the tickets, and they didn't end up going.
Oh,
So, pretty quiet day.
yep.
At 8 p.m., she said her husband remarked on the time and said he was tired, and they went to bed about an hour later at 9 p.m.,
Oh.
and both fell asleep very quickly. This is where I get a little bit like, this timeline is so tight. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, if they were there at 10:40, that's
Yeah,
not very
the call
much.
came through between 10:20 and 10:40,
Yikes.
according to these estimates. Like again, this is everyone's
Yeah.
estimate, so we don't have a good exact timeline, but it's tight
Yeah.
that they were both fast asleep. She said they fell asleep very quickly. They'd each had a few beers over the course of the day. Laura estimated that she'd had four. She thought she had one in the morning, one at lunch, one with supper, and one in the evening. Because Christmas, so
Yeah.
morning drinking is allowed.
Yeah. It's
I know,
acceptable.
right? Holiday. According to her, a single beer was enough to make her feel the effects. It would make her a bit tipsy, even just one beer. So I think that's why she thinks they fell asleep so quickly, is
Oh,
they'd had a couple of beers over the day and retired, and he'd worked all night and then stayed up. So I imagine there's also that aspect of it as well, because he didn't go to bed when he got home from his midnight run.
oh, so he
They
stayed
were
up all
awake.
day. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Yeah, so it could explain why he fell asleep so quickly and fell asleep so deeply that
Yeah.
there's no signs of any struggle at all.
Yeah.
So, um, she was not able to offer any details on what happened between going to bed at 9 and her coming to in the Chesterfield at around 10:20, 10:30. We're not sure. She had no idea how she got there, and she didn't remember seeing anyone or hearing anything, although she vaguely remembered seeing blood on her husband's face, but she wasn't sure when that was, or if she was in bed or at the time or not, or if it was just an impression, if maybe when she was coming to, she looked in the room and maybe saw,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's, it sounds a lot like she might have been in a very trauma response.
Yeah.
We don't know. Or, I mean, we don't know. We don't know. Is she
Yeah.
lying? Was she in trauma? Did her brain just black out what happened so that she didn't have to remember it? We don't know.
Yeah.
Only she knows.
Oh, yeah, obviously.
So she also claimed that the back door, when she went to the kitchen, the back door was open, but Constable Flavel was sure that they were closed and he opened it. So again, witness testimony,
Versus the
people's
police.
memories are
Yeah.
very faulty.
Yeah.
They could have been open, they could have been closed. She thought they were open. Apparently they'd been married for 4 years, and all the friends of the family, everyone that knew him and knew her, said it was a very happy, very loving marriage. They got along great. Um, but despite that, at the end of the inquest on January 12th, 1926, the coroner, Dr. Desrosiers, stated that he found Laura Johnson's evidence to be unconvincing. The police
Ooh.
arrested her at her sister's house after midnight the same night and took her into custody. The police found her inability to remember more of the evening suspicious, which maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If it was trauma, then it makes sense.
Yeah.
If she's lying, then we don't know. Specifically, that she couldn't explain how she went from sleeping in bed to coming to on the Chesterfield. And according to them, reef knots were very easy knots to get out of, and she should have had no difficulty escaping them. To them, she should have been able to slip right out.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So, James Johnson also had a number of life insurance policies,
Uh-oh.
all payable to her.
Oh
The
no.
total amount being $17,526, which is worth about $280,000 in today's money, decent amount of money. However, it was noted that Laura Johnson was a woman of means. Her own means. She did not need that money. So she had
Oh.
her own money. She didn't need any money. The other thing is the axe you remember they found,
Yeah.
according to Dr. Monroe's opinions, the weapon that was used on James had to be very sharp, very, very sharp. To split the nose to the lip without cutting the gum, to just split it so cleanly, it
Oh.
had it to be very sharp and to penetrate as deep as it did in the head. And in his opinion, it had to be larger than a hatchet and probably was a hand axe. And you recall they did find an axe in the home,
Yeah.
but they didn't believe it was a murder weapon. It was very dull, and the blood smear they found on it was from a chicken. They tested it was not human. It was
Oh.
chicken blood. So
Interesting.
they don't think it was the murder weapon. It was really dull, no blood on it except for chicken blood, which if she'd cleaned the blade from human blood, the chicken blood would have been wiped off as well.
Yeah.
So it didn't really make it. And we know from the bedroom there was
There's
blood
a lot of
everywhere.
blood. Yeah.
So this axe would have been bloody.
Yeah.
It would have been dirty.
Yeah.
So they don't think that was the murder weapon. The other thing that came to light during the inquest was that one of the witnesses, his name was Benjamin J. Clark. He was a fireman on the CNR Railway. He testified at the preliminary hearing that Laura Johnson's claim that her husband didn't leave the house on Christmas was entirely false.
Ooh.
He'd seen Mr. Johnson at approximately 2:30 p.m. They'd exchanged greetings, and he'd gone inside a cafe to buy cigarettes. When he came out, James Johnson was still there, and he was talking to two men, and he invited him to join them for a Christmas drink.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he agreed to have one beer. He was due at a friend's house at 3 p.m. for dinner, and so the four men went into an apartment in the Tuxedo Block, which I'm not sure where that would be in Saskatoon. I couldn't find it, but it's called the Tuxedo Block. I think it was all bachelor apartments,
Yeah.
to have a drink. Johnson never introduced Clark to the other two men, which is odd. They left together after one beer, and Clark said he found it very odd at the time that Johnson hadn't introduced him. But from the way they spoke, he took he had the impression that the strangers were also railway men. That's what the
Oh, okay.
impression he got, but he
Yeah.
never introduced them. He told the court that he got the impression that Johnson didn't really want to have a drink with the two men, but didn't want to insult them by turning down a invitation to have a Christmas beer.
Yeah.
He couldn't give much of a description of the men, only that one was quite dark and the other was about medium, and they were slightly shorter than himself. And he couldn't even tell them what apartment building, like
Oh
which
my
apartment
goodness.
they'd gone to.
Not a
Couldn't
very
remember.
reliable witness at all.
They did, yeah, they did try to go and find these two men, but he couldn't figure out which apart. He couldn't remember.
Oh, geez. Okay.
Yes. In another testimony, Victor Hayes, hello, he was a friend of Johnson who also was a railway mail clerk. And he told the court that 4 days before the attack, Johnson had come to him and asked if any of the suites at the building where he lived were available. He said that Johnson had voiced a fear of living at the Fourth Avenue home, but he hadn't given any specifics. Yeah, he specifically asked if any of the suites were available. He was afraid to continue living at the Fourth Avenue home,
Ooh.
but didn't tell him why.
Ooh, I think this is a good place for us to pause. And because unfortunately we're out of time. So
Yeah,
we'll talk again next week.
that's
We'll
right. Stay tuned.
talk about, yeah, what comes next. Awesome. I think that was a great spot to stop.
That's perfect.
That
Yeah.
really was. Okay, I will hit
Okay.
it again and we'll go again.
And then we'll just pick it right up. All right,
Pick it right up.
perfect.
All right, so back to talking about the axe murder in Saskatoon. And if you were listening last week, we were t just finished talking about some suspicious activities that were going on through the day that supposedly didn't happen, but supposedly did. So
Mhm.
yeah, Melanie, do you want to keep going? I
All
can't wait to
right.
find out more.
Yeah, so just to refresh everyone's memory, Christmas night, Laura Johnson wakes up in her living room, bound hand and foot. Her husband has 8 axe wounds to his face in the bedroom. The cops think she did it. She has no memory of anything. And we have some very mysterious clues. So if you didn't listen to episode 1, go back and listen
Yes,
because
exactly.
there's a lot of strange clues we're going to talk about. So, speaking of strange clues, we talked about Victor Hayes, a friend of Johnson's, who said that James was afraid to continue living at his house. That's where we ended.
Yes.
Now, at some point in January of 1926, when all of this is going on and everyone's suspicious and Laura's been arrested and everything is crazy, a series of letters were sent to the newspapers, the police, and to Laura Johnson's defense attorney, Arthur, Arthur E. Bentz. The
Ooh,
letters discussed the murders of James Eli Johnson and were intriguing enough that her attorney actually put out ads offering a reward for any information on the writer of the letters.
interesting.
Yeah. The only newspaper that printed their copies of the letter was the Saskatoon Reporter, which is not available on my news archive site that I use. Could not find any archive that carried it.
Darn.
So I don't know what the letters said, which it deeply upsets me.
Yeah.
The only clue I was able to find as to their contents was when Arthur Bentz asked a witness on the stand to write out 2 sentences to see if their handwriting matched the letters. The phrases were, "The bottles are popping," and "the wife's away."
Ooh,
Yeah, right?
interesting.
I want those letter. I want
Uh,
that letter so bad. I
No
can't even begin to
doubt.
describe how much I want this letter. So this went to newspapers, it went to her defense attorney, and it went to the police. And as far as we know, no one was found connected to these letters. No one came forward. The writer was never identified. And due to a lack of access, I don't know what the letter said. So that's deeply frustrating.
No doubt. Something I never talk enough about is my own horror books. They are the heart of my storytelling and a huge part of why this show even exists. If you ever want to dive deeper into the kind of tension and eerie atmosphere that I explore here, but in fiction, then my books are all on my website at kdkulpa.com. They've been such a joy to write, and I really hope that my readers love them just as much as I do.
So on September 16th, so they committed her to stand trial. She did her preliminary hearing, they committed her to stand trial. But on September 16th, 1926, a stay of proceedings was entered in the murder charge against her. So she was allowed to go free without bail, but the murder charge remained. They could still take her to trial at any time, but they wanted to stay because they felt the Crown at any time they could call her to stand trial, but in they wanted to investigate further.
Right.
They're right? We don't have a smoking gun. We don't have the murder weapon. We don't have
Well, yeah.
motive really, aside from insurance money that she apparently didn't need.
Yeah.
Um, so they wanted to do some more investigating. She was actually never brought to stand trial. She moved to British Columbia, and she did eventually receive the money from her husband's life insurance,
Okay. Even though she didn't need it,
even though
supposedly.
she didn't need it.
Yeah.
There was no other charges ever laid on anyone else. And they did still bring it up in like at the I think it was the 10-year anniversary. They put in the newspaper again, asking if anyone had any information and come forward. But as far as we know, it's never been solved. So
Ooh.
we don't know. I have theories, of course. I read a lot of newspaper clippings, and a lot of them included a lot of transcripts of the court proceedings,
Oh, well, that's handy at least.
which is very handy. Yeah. And I go back and forth on whether or not she did it. Most of the time, I don't think she did. I don't think it adds up. I the thing is they checked the furnace when they investigated the house after immediately after they checked the whole house. They looked in the furnace. Nothing was had been burnt. There was no fresh ashes. Like in the again in the amount of time it would have happened.
Yeah, it'd have to be pretty
Could
fresh if there
anything have
was.
burnt completely,
Yeah.
including an axe? Like they never find the axe. Which how did she get rid of it? That they
Yeah.
could never find it. How did she have no blood in her hair? Like again, unless like she covered the whole thing and then did this murder. But then where's the axe? Where's all the bloody clothes? She would have had to
Well,
burn them.
yeah.
She would have been covered. It was over
She
the
would have been.
walls. It was on the nightstand. It was puddled
Yeah.
everywhere. It had sprayed because like these are full axe strikes. It would have been all over her, which she could have changed. But where's the
But where did it
clothes
go?
go?
Yeah. Well,
You
and
know,
because it was so tight and like you said, it's so tight in time.
the timeline
So
is so small.
she couldn't have really had a shower, got changed, gone out, left the house, dropped some stuff off, come like it would have been way too tight to do all of that.
No, I don't like unless she had a good solid plan on where she was going to ditch these clothes. Like even with the Lizzie Borden case, they found the bucket of the bloody rags that she said were from her peer. Like there's
Yeah.
still like
There's
you
still
can point to like
pieces.
maybe that's where she cleaned up.
Yeah.
Like that's why so many people like have a hard time and like she's innocent. I don't know. I go back and forth on that case too.
Yeah, it's a
But
hard one too.
with Laura Johnson, like where did they go?
Yeah.
And
That
then
is
there's the idea with the dog. The dog never barked.
so yeah, you
Did
make
the
it
dog knows who's coming to the house, but it didn't bark for the police either?
yeah.
And where is his mail service keys?
Yeah. And why would she say that he didn't leave the house when he did?
Unless he went out while she
While
was
she's with her
visiting her
sister.
sister. And she
Yeah.
thinks she was only gone an hour, but I mean, again, do we keep good track of how much time we spent and
Yeah.
like you're not keeping a record of everything you did today thinking, oh well something horrible is going to happen tonight, so I need to make sure I remember everything and keep a
Yeah.
log of time. Like no one remembers. You just know you went and visited your sister and you're like, yeah, it's probably about an hour, I don't know. So
Yeah.
did he go out then and that's why she didn't really know he had gone out? And who were those two men? And why did he not seem to want to be with them?
Be with him and introduce him. Yeah. Oh my
And why
goodness.
was he afraid of living at his house?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. There's
So,
so many little like
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, the thing about the narcotics that they tested him for narcotics and it was there was none, but he had to have fallen asleep so quickly and be so deeply asleep to have no
To
defensive wounds at all. He
yeah,
had nothing on his arms, nothing on his hands. All of the wounds were in his
in
head and
his
his
head.
face. So again, if it had been her, either way, he didn't wake up when she got out of bed.
Well, yeah. And
So
she would
did
have had
she
to been taken out of bed before he got
axe? Because again, no blood.
no blood on her.
So I always wonder if she had woken up like a half hour or 45 minutes later and just needed to pee and like shimmied out of bed and he just was dead asleep and she goes to the bathroom and as she's coming out, right in the right side of the head and down she
Maybe.
goes.
And that's why
If
she
there
doesn't
were two of
remember.
them, like they said,
Yeah.
where was it those two men he didn't really want to spend time with? Were they looking for something? Were they leaning
Yeah.
on him for something? I don't know.
Oh, now I really want to know what that letter said.
I know,
Just like, what could it be?
right? Okay, if any of your listeners have old copies of that
Yeah.
newspaper, this
Send
was
it
it the
to us.
Saskatoon Reporter? Yeah, the Saskatoon Reporter.
Yeah.
It's January of 1926. So if any of your listeners have listeners, maybe to look up for the letter. But yeah, and then I will say the home no longer exists. It's a parking lot now. I did look it up because of course I wanted to see this bungalow. I did find pictures of the house and both of them. So on my website when I wrote about it, there are pictures there if you want to have a
Oh,
look.
that's cool. Yeah, I'll make sure to put a link in the description of the podcast
Yeah.
anyway, so people can find it.
Yeah, and I what I really wish though is if they had had a picture of the bedroom because I want
Yeah.
that's the other thing because I'm like with the wounds being on the left side of his face, were they standing at the foot of the bed or were they standing on the right side of the bed and his
Oh,
head was turned?
was
Because
turned.
if it was that vertical line, you almost wonder if it was from the foot or something, but it was jammed up against the wall. I want to see that
Yeah.
bedroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so many things don't line up, do they?
They don't line up. It's so mysterious.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
I know. So to me, there's a lot of leads that should have been investigated further, and maybe they were, and they were just dead ends,
Just
and they
the
just
dead
didn't
ends.
get written about.
Yeah, possible. But yeah, because
But
you
I feel
wonder,
like,
I'm really
yeah,
curious what they did with what they read in the letter.
hmm yeah,
Because even the two little like phrases are like, well, what is it, bottles popping or
the
whatever.
bottles are popping, and the wife's away.
Yeah. Which does kind of make you think it's the two guys because he went for that drink with the two guys.
Oh yeah, yeah. Or like, is
Or
it
did
someone who
someone,
was suggesting he was cheating,
yeah,
or like, oh, and your wife's away. I know what you did. I don't know.
yeah. Well, yeah, because it seems like somebody went to his house
You're right.
if the wife's away.
The wife's away. Exactly.
But still, the murder didn't happen while the wife was away. She was there
She
somehow.
was there. And the thing was, if I remember correctly, he wasn't supposed to be home on Christmas Day. He was supposed to
Oh.
be away working, and then the schedule changed last minute. Like she was gonna go to a friend's farm for Christmas, and then his schedule changed last minute, and so she stayed in the city so they could spend Christmas
Oh.
together. So that's the other thing is
Even more questions now.
who knew his
Who knew his
schedule? Who knew that his
schedule?
schedule changed? Or were they planning to break into the house while they were both gone?
Oh, and
But
found them.
then why bring an axe?
Well, yeah, and why like murder him instead of just knocking him out?
Yeah,
But then the dog doesn't bark either. So,
no.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and like, was it all about the railway service keys? What were they trying
Yeah,
to
well,
get? Because no one ever found the keys. And if they needed those keys to find something, did they needed him silenced so he couldn't say what was missing?
oh, I never thought of that angle. That's a good angle too.
I've thought a lot about this murder.
My goodness, there are so many like, yeah, so many questions, so many angles, so many
Yeah,
weird aspects to it.
Yeah,
Wow.
so I'm hoping your listeners have their own theories they can share with us, or if they have insights or what, because I turn it over my head often where especially the timeline is
Well,
so
yeah, it's so
short.
short.
And so it really makes me lean towards her not being guilty. But I have had people who read it were like, nah, she's obviously guilty. And I was like, really? It's obvious to you? No, it is
Yeah.
not to me. It is not obvious to me. So be interesting to see what other people think about is she like that? These are the questions I want your listeners to answer. Did she do it or was it someone else? And if it was someone else, who and why? Like who do they
Well,
think and
yeah.
why? And if you think it's the wife, then I need you to defend your case.
Yeah, need a
I need
motive.
you to prosecute this case for me. I need you to convince me so I can put it to bed.
Well, and that's the funny thing is it's such a mysterious case
Yeah,
that happened in Saskatoon of all places.
in Saskatoon.
And yet no one talks. I've never heard of this
Nothing.
before,
No,
which just,
I like stumbled upon it by accident and was like, holy hell, what happened? When?
yeah, that's
And
just,
especially for it to be on a Christmas night when people kind of feel the most safe and like it's supposed to be this festive season and
yep.
for this brutal axe murder to happen and then to never be solved.
Yeah, I'm amazed no one's ever said anything about it or like written a book about it or like just
Yeah,
nothing. Just
just
nothing.
nothing. I mean, it's possible. There was a series of books by a journalist in Regina, and she wrote a lot about historical true crime. So it's possible that that was one of the because I can't remember what it was called. There was three, I think, three books, and they each had probably about like 40 cases in them. Like they were short, like run-ups on all these
Oh,
murder
okay.
cases and stuff that happened in Saskatchewan. So I'm sure that she wrote something about it in there. I would be surprised if she hadn't, but I've never read them, so
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
should.
I'll have to look
You could
that
think
up.
of me of all people would have read them, but I only just found out about them not that long ago. So, but I was like, oh yeah, but yeah, it was three, and she three books, and I can't. Oh, I feel bad. I can't remember the title of the first or any of them. There's something. I want to say there's something about spilled milk or something, but I can't remember.
Ooh, I'll have to look it up and find out. Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember, I'll send you the title
Okay,
so you can
yeah,
put it in the show notes for people because the top of my
definitely.
head I cannot remember. But
I'd
yeah,
love to see what her take, if she did do a write up on it. I'd love to see what her take was.
yeah. What was her takeaway
Yeah,
exactly?
because like
Who was guilty?
there's so many questions, and I just
Hmm.
ah, so I can
Yeah.
totally see why this keeps you like
Hmm.
coming back to it. Because yeah, it just
Yeah. Because I'm not someone who tends to think that, oh, she couldn't have done it because women don't have the physical strength. Yeah,
yeah,
any woman could have axe
yeah.
murdered.
Oh,
That's
definitely.
to me, I'm like, yeah, that's no problem.
Especially
But
angry enough. Oh yeah, I think so.
right?
Yeah, enough
Yeah,
anger behind it. I
absolutely.
think you can.
There is a case that I haven't covered yet, but I'm researching where the same kind of thing where a guy in his bed was brutally beaten and I think it was even like kind of an axe situation as well, but also had like arsenic thrown on his face, and
Oh,
it was his wife.
oof.
Yeah,
So she was
she was
really
mad.
making sure.
She was really mad.
Yeah.
But so I don't, I'm not timid to say that she couldn't have,
Yeah.
but to me, the evidence just doesn't,
Something else. Yeah.
definitely not conclusively. I think that's why it never went to trial, is like you said, there's too many questions.
Yeah.
You can't beyond a reasonable doubt find her guilty of murder. The biggest mark against her was that she was in the house.
Yeah. That's really all there
She was in the
is.
house and she's fine. Those are
Yeah.
like the two big points against her.
Yeah.
She's in
No
the house, she's
major.
fine, and doesn't remember, which, if you don't know anything about trauma, is suspicious.
Yeah.
But if someone is got, PTSD or going to trauma response, it's really common for your brain to just shut it down
Shut
and
it
not like
down. Yeah.
remember,
I not remember
which
those
would make
things.
sense why she doesn't remember waking up. She can only remember like trying on her knees trying to get up
Yeah.
as she fell off the sofa. So to me, that's kind of that seems
Yeah.
indicative of more of trauma than of lying. Because
Yeah.
otherwise, why wouldn't she just say, I woke up on the floor or on the couch
Well,
and then
yeah,
I fell
instead
asleep,
of
you know?
trying to wake up and trying, yeah.
Yeah. To be
Yeah.
honestly, the fact that she was so wishy-washy on how she woke up to me is more indicative of trauma than it is of lying. Because I feel like if you're trying to lie, murder your husband, you're covering it up, you're going to have very decisive lies.
Yeah.
You're going to be like, I woke up on the couch and I was found hand and foot and
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. You know, like
Yeah, you'd be
she's
more
like, I don't
clear.
know. I don't remember how I woke
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. Well,
So,
and she
but
did
again,
have the injury to her head, which would kind of.
yeah.
And where did the bruises on the back come from, too?
Did she fall and
Yeah.
hit her? Like, how did they just thump her along? Who knows?
Yeah.
And there is the thing about the police saying that the reef knots were really easy to get out of. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there is that suspicious element as well. So, if it was a knot that was really easy to wriggle back into, so she could pretend,
Yeah,
maybe
that's true.
I could see that. But but the missing murder weapon,
Yeah, but
missing
if you wake
bloody
up and you're
clothes,
really out of it and you don't know what's going on, you
would
probably the
you?
first thing wouldn't be, can I get out of it? It would just be, oh crap, and it's
I'm
behind your
bound.
back. Yeah.
Right, because they were behind her back. That's right. And she
Yeah.
was
So she
tied in the
can't see it.
ankles too. So she can't get the ankles off until she gets the one behind her back off.
Yeah.
And again, you'd almost have to try it
Oh,
for yourself just to
yeah, right.
just to
Just
see
to see.
how easy it would be to get it off.
And I mean the rotary phone with a toothbrush, that's commitment too, to
That's
trying to get, and
commitment.
that would have taken time,
Yeah.
which if she was the murderer, she wouldn't have had.
But that's her story according to her. We don't
Yeah,
have any
that's
reports
true.
that they found the toothbrush next to the phone or
Oh,
anything
that's
like that, right?
true. That's
We just so
true.
we don't have confirmation that that's what she did. We just have her word that that's what she did. So
Oh,
we
so many
don't
things.
know for sure. And even the timeline is so wishy-washy. It's all
Yeah.
estimates and like with the doctor's estimate on when the injuries happened, it's kind of like maybe he only took 10 minutes to get there. I don't know, but
Oh,
and
interesting.
maybe 10 minutes feels like an eternity when you've got a man with blood all over him.
That's true. That's very true.
So we don't know. But that is the story of the Bungalow axe murder of Saskatoon. Very much unsolved,
Well,
especially by me.
yeah. Well, now I'm not surprised that it's not solved if that's all they had. Surely they
Yeah,
had to have a little bit more that we just don't know, but still, it's
yeah. I
like the
would
letter.
I would love to reach out to the provincial archives and see if I could get the police reports and that because they often had to send reports of ongoing cases to like the attorney general just to like let them know how their investigations were
Oh,
going.
right. Yep.
But it takes a long time,
It
like
does.
six
Yeah.
months, 7 months to because they're very busy. They're amazing, but they're very busy.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see that and see what other things they were investigating and how far they went. Like for me, the tuxedo block apartments where the witness couldn't remember which apartment it was.
That's
Go
yeah,
to every
weird.
apartment. Go to
Yeah.
every apartment
Yeah.
and take them with you if you want. Be like, are these them? Are these them? Are these them?
Well,
And
yeah. I'm surprised they didn't do that. Like go driving to the
and maybe
apartments
they
and
did, right? But
maybe
according to the newspapers,
they
they had
didn't
taken
know.
him to the tuxedo block to be like, "Hey, which apartment?" And he was like, "I don't know." And then that was the end of it.
Hmm.
And would they still
Interesting.
even be there if they were people like,
Yeah.
or would they have left? So,
Yeah, would they be like a
because I'm sure they
temporary
knocked on
thing?
a few doors and like if he was like, I think it was on the second floor, you would knock on a couple,
Yeah.
but it seemed to be really inconclusive that they were not able to find these two men at all. So,
Oh, interesting.
yeah. Because normally I'd be like, well, we can't really count on witness testimony
No,
anyway
not
because
at
members
all.
are garbage. But
Yep.
if
In this case, even
having
less.
a drink with a couple men, like that, I would be like, okay, so I think that generally happened. He probably had a drink with him and these two men.
Yeah.
Did it happen on Christmas Day? Was he misremembering and it was the day before and it was Christmas
Oh,
Eve?
maybe.
You know?
Hard to say.
Yeah, I try not to put a ton of stock into any kind of witness statements because they are very fallible. But at the same time, this would have been news right away. So he would have been like, oh, I saw him yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
So I would think
Oh.
that that was probably accurate, but we can't say for sure.
Well, it makes you wonder, like maybe the wife was involved, but not
Yeah.
the main person.
Yeah. Did she organize the murder and
Yeah.
that's why she was unharmed in the living room? And did she let them in?
Yeah. And
Did she
that's
go to
why.
the back door and unlock it and let them in? And then the one guy tied her up while the other one did that. And they're like, cool, all right.
Yeah.
And
See
then
you
they
later,
let
kind of thing.
themselves back out.
Yeah.
I was telling my husband about it, and he's like, well, someone must have broken in during the day and poisoned their food, and that's why they fell asleep so quickly. And I was like, ah, I think so. It's getting a little conspiracy
Yeah.
theories at that point, but I want maybe someone broke in
Maybe.
earlier, who knows, and put something in their food. But again, he was tested for narcotics.
Well, yeah, and it came out clean. So unless it's something
Okay.
that they didn't know about or didn't test
Mm-hmm.
for back then. But
Mm-hmm. Now
oh
she
my
did say he
goodness.
had a couple beers through the day, and so I don't know if that would show up in the narcotic testing, if they
Yeah.
wouldn't have tested for that, if they would have known to test for that, or if he just had and just enough that it was under the
There
radar.
were, yeah.
But the fact
Oh,
that he had worked all night and then been up all day, it does make sense to me that he would have fallen
passed out
asleep
pretty
and
quick. Yeah.
actually been asleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense. So obviously one of the blows to the head was good enough to
That it
not
was
make
lights out
him,
at that
yeah,
moment. Yeah.
that he didn't
Yeah.
come to.
Because three of them were, no, sorry, five were major blows to the head and three were minor.
Ooh, that's
So,
a lot of blows to the head too for a guy that's not moving.
right? That's the other thing. It seems like a highly emotional
Yeah.
attack to hit him that many times, unless they were just gonna be absolutely sure. It's dark. You can't see if your blows are hitting. I don't know.
Or surprised they were surprised he was there.
But again, where'd the axe
But
come from?
that's true. Why would you bring an axe?
It shows planning.
Yeah. Oh, so many questions. Oh my goodness. We can just take ourselves in circles the more we talk
Yeah,
about it.
that's right. And that's the hard part about looking into historical cases is there's
Yeah.
literally no hope for resolution.
Yeah.
You kind of
Well,
just pick a theory that you like and stick with it.
and go with it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully a listener will bring us the letter at least, and we'll have that.
Oh, that would be
That would be nice.
amazing. Oh my God.
Just to get
That's a piece of
something.
the puzzle I would like. Yeah.
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 Oh,
I'm wondering if I have more time, maybe I'll reach out to the archives and see if I can get some more
yeah.
information from the police reports. But until that day comes, where we're at.
Well, no, this is awesome. I like my mind is just spinning like what could have
Yeah.
happened? But yeah, no, this is
Yeah.
great. So I greatly appreciate you coming back and doing
Oh,
another
absolutely. Thank you for having
two-parter.
me back. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know, I can't shut up. Get me started talking about murders, and I will go into a lot
Oh,
of detail.
it's so funny because every time I do like have a guest on, it's just like we start talking and then suddenly it's like, oh my goodness, 26 minutes has gone by. We gotta stop. Like we can't keep
Yeah,
going. Yeah,
right? How are you supposed
it's
to tell
hard.
a spooky story in a half an hour?
I know, it's not very long, hey? Oh,
Mm-mm.
oh well. I think next season, whenever that is, I'll maybe do more guest episodes just to allow us to do more two-parters. Make it more
Yeah,
fun that way.
no kidding, no
Yeah.
kidding. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you so much for having me on. I love to geek out about murder stories with you, so this is very fun for me.
Thank- This is awesome. Yeah, thanks for coming back.
Ah,
Oh,
anytime.
awesome.